Welcome to the tripod. It's Winnie here, guys. Let me know if you can see me. It's been a while. It's been a fair while. I hope everyone had a good weekend. If you caught the All-Stars, hope you enjoyed that. Straight up, sorry if I look a bit old and tired, even more so than usual. I mean, 11 straight seasons doing the pod will do that to you, but I've got an extra excuse. My wife gave birth to our second child yesterday. Mum and little Winnie Jr. are doing great, I can tell you. And since I consider everyone who tunes in to be family, I want to share that news with you guys first of all. And then the big announcement I want to begin with is to tell you that Tripod is going to be back for a 12th straight season in 2026. Of course, it is a massive commitment. You guys know how committed I am to it all. But, you also hopefully understand the respect and love I've got for this community that drives me, and that means that I will never do the pod half-hearted. So if I'm in, then I'm all in. And, we've been 11 years straight, over 5,000 best bets, 59% winning clip, hundreds of shows, and we've given it everything, and that's going to continue. And this off season was tough because I was, faced with some hard decisions, and I actually thought, to be honest with you, and that's why I want to go behind the scenes and just tell you like every decision I made this off season and why. But I thought I'd hit a point where it was like either I can't do the pod anymore and I got to walk away, or we may have to move to a subscription-based model, basically. But I'm glad to say that I am actually going to be able to bring the pod back live and free again this year. But first, let's just talk about the formula. It is that same or similar winning formula that we've had the last couple of years. So the one show a week, a weekly round preview, best bets at the start of the show, looking at obviously lines and totals predominantly for every NRL game, full game by game, punting perspective conversation, some bonus tips in there from some of the sharpest shooters in the group. When it'll be, we're going to be 6 p.m. Sydney time, New South Wales time. That's 5 p.m. in Queensland on Tuesdays. That's live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. That's 2 hours after the team list drop. I feel that's enough time for me to get in the lab and dissect it all, but also for the dust to settle in terms of the market, and still give you plenty of time ahead of the round to consume the show however you like and to execute the advice. It's going to still, the video will still remain on Facebook and YouTube, and then it's also out on podcast players soon after we're live. You can hit subscribe right now to make sure you're going to be able to catch it. We're going to start this week, so in 2 days on Tuesday. That's the season preview, which is a full look at all 17 teams. I tell you, I've been in the lab, I've been crunching, and I'm still got more work to do. I think I might know who wins the premiership this year, but I'm going to have that plus many more futures that I like. So that's at 6 p.m. Tuesday, right? But that's a special season preview. The following week will be the Vegas doubleheader. The week after that, we're rolling. It's a round one preview. So that's sort of where we're going to be. If you're watching this, I really appreciate your company. Give me your requests, suggestions, feedback to make the show even better. Is there anything that you can give me that I can take on board to build into this season? Always, try and have a solid plan, but can also be fluid and try and give the people what they want. Now, a little bit of a longer bit, if you want to stick around and sort of hear about the business side of things, I'll be as open as I can be. It's been a completely free product, right, for 11 straight years. That is going to be the case in 2026. I did think, as I said before, it was either go paid or call it a day. Spoke to lots of close friends and knowledgeable people. Shout out to Dan and Jeff, and they're among many people who said it's probably the right time to start charging for best bets and to have a subscription at least element to the show, because there were very few other options. And I can openly say, if I was just making the best financial decision, just going paid was not even a question. Like, that would easily be the most money I could make out of the show. But I've never made decisions based on what the most I could make is. You even go back to last year where we didn't have a sponsor for the second, 2/3 of the season, and I did the show anyway because I was committed to the year, and it obviously the time going into it, you can say, well, it's a hobby. Everyone puts time into certain stuff. it's not that hard, like watching footy, or like lots of people are punting, trying to win and everything. But to turn up every single week, the amount of hours, the energy, the time commitment, there are financial commitments with like resources, with like software, with business fees and stuff. Like there are costs to doing it all. And then I suppose what I like maybe people realize, or maybe they don't. Some of you may know that like I'm an engineer originally, and I teach at university, and what I commit my time to, that just anything I'm committing to the pod is time I'm not either doing other professional work or with my family. So I've really got to justify the time I put into it. So that's why I was like, I can't do the pod like as a hobby, as a pure hobby, which it obviously was when we started in 2015. So to justify it, I feel like it had to make a certain amount of income from it, and the pathways seem to just lead to subscription, because we've lost sponsors over the years. I think we've had great partnerships, but like I had a multi-year deal with Better, or partnership with Better, and you might think they're still around, but when Bluebet took over, they essentially became the ones that were in charge. So that was 2 years ago. Top Sport we lost last year. It just you want to find the right partner, because last year there were other opportunities for me to make money, and I would have absolutely loved to do it, but I'm never gonna stand in front of you guys and endorse something that I don't think is worthy of our audience. So I have to find the right fit, and when I talk to potential partners, I always say, what can you do for our audience, not what can you do for me. And so that's where I'm like, well, if I don't have enough commitment from bookies, and I'll get to other reasons for that, we've got like a loyal, engaged audience, but it's not that big. Like, I'm very proud of the size of the audience, and 5 to 10,000 people are tuning in every show. And some people don't realize it's that big because we cross stream on multiple pages and apps at the same time. And then you got the audio downloads, as well as the views that come live and afterwards as well. But 5 to 10,000 people watching a show is like very small in terms of a mainstream show. I understand, like, it's a saturated market. There's so much content out there that I'm competing against. So I can't really market mainstream products, because the conversion, the take up's not really there, and that's okay. But what we do have is a niche of very keen punters. If you watch the tripod, likely that you are very interested in the punting element. So naturally, we've had relationships with bookmakers because we need bookies to punt. But the catch-22, of course, is that we've done probably too well over the years, and that it just makes it hard to have those relationships be sustainable for too long. So I think we've done well to have some partnerships last as long as they did. But like, let's be frank about it. Like, a bookie would rather sponsor a show that's way bigger and that is a recreational crowd, where the host can come on and just throw tips out willy-nilly and laugh about, whether they won or lost. And no disrespect to any show that's pure entertainment value, they're going to be far more viable with the bookies. Whereas I get like blatant responses from bookmakers that say, we love that you have an engaged audience, you convert a lot of players, but the customers are not value for us, which is sort of code for they're not profitable because they do too well. But the pod wouldn't be here if the players didn't do well, right? So the show hinges on people getting good advice, finding good bets. So that's what led the pathway. Well, if the bookies don't really want to be involved in you, and I can tell you, it's not just bookies. There's other groups out there. I'm always trying to, collaborate as ways to expand, make the show better. And there's groups that do not want to borrow a tripod because they don't want our audience anywhere near potentially their bookies. That's actually could end up costing them money and costing them their deals. So it's actually sort of a funny one where, we're a little bit of a black sheep in that regard. But that's our niche. And if it's not bookies getting involved, then, there's not many other products that's going to appeal to the niche. But I am excited to announce the new partnership, and one that I have found. And I guess if you're not promoting a direct bookie, you're going to have interest from providers of punting tools. And I have had that. And the major partnership that is allowing me to keep everything running and keep the lights on this year is with an exciting new punting tool that is BetBank.ai. And this is an Aussie group made by guys who are members of the pod, long-time members of the pod. And look, in the coming weeks, I'll tell you all about the product because I can go on for a long time. But basically, it is a tool that pays for itself by giving you real-time odds comparison across hundreds of markets. So enabling you to very easily find the best price on any play, plus EV bet finder. So it's going to find you bets, including multis that you wouldn't have found yourself because it's going to highlight them to you. There's many other tools for like promo conversion, performance tracking, strategy, and it's continuously growing. And the guys are so committed. They're going to run live workshops inside like the Tripod group. They even offer anyone that subscribes. So I should say it is a subscription model, but we're going to get some good deals for Tripod people. There's going to be free trials so everyone can try it. And the guys are adamant that once people jump in, a lot of people are going to want to stay because it's going to pay for itself. And like the boys are literally saying they'll jump on a one-on-one Zoom with anyone that wants to join and tutor them of how to get the best out of the tool. And I can pass on some of that information and the boys will run like live demos in the group. And then, like any product, see for yourself. But I do want to stress that without this partnership, I think there was no pathway to sort of committing to doing the pod free all year. So massive thanks to the BetBank boys. I'm really excited to work with them this year. There is a code TRYPOD, which is going to get you a big discount. I believe it's 50% off the first 2 months and at least the first week is free as well. So like everyone can jump on, see what you make of it. And I understand the subscription tool like is not going to appeal to everybody, but I think there's going to be appeal to a good section of our audience. So I'll give you more information. I'm actually not stressing like go and join them now to support the pod because if you're getting a free week trial, there's like no footy, in the next week. So just highlighting and announcing the partnership, and we'll build into when the time is right, when you guys want to get on there and find some things. And I'm excited to work with the boys and how we can add to the show and the quality of the show as well. I may have a bookie that is going to be involved. I'm still like trying to get that across the line, having said like how much more difficult it's gotten, which could come in the form of a season multi on Tuesday and then some custom markets down the line and looking after people who want to use it, or if you already had an account, even reactivating, like getting on, trying it again, could be worth your while. But I won't announce anything till it's across the line because I've had plenty of things, fall through over the years too. So I'm doing my best, obviously, to add value to the show. But, in my soul searching and my strategizing for this year, I have sort of come up with another potential revenue stream for the show, and that is the voluntary support option. So I've signed up to buymeacoffee.com. So there's a link where you can find the Tripod page. I'll call it Buy Me a Nappy if you want to buy me, a nappy when you've had a good week or a box of nappies. The way I'm looking at that is people have definitely suggested, plenty of people have said, do Patreon and you get people who sort of subscribe, they get a bit more. I just don't want to do the exclusivity. I just want to give as much as I can and people to be able to take as much as they can from it when they want it, dip in or out. So I just set that up purely as people can do a one-off. And the way I see it is like if you have a week where you clean up, and whether it's a big multi or we roll, a bunch of best bets in a row, and you feel like you won a bunch of money that you wouldn't have won without the help of the pod. In the past, people have offered to send me some of their winnings, and I've just sort of said no. Like it's your money, like it's your choice to follow the plays, so you do with it what you want. And that's all still true, and that's why there's no pressure. Like I don't know if anybody will, jump in on this, but I just put it there because everyone's in different positions and everyone's got their struggles, right? So completely understand that. That's why I just wanted to keep everything totally optional. And I think it's just there if the results are there, I feel like last year was a really good year. But even a good week doesn't mean you have to, send any support if it's not a good season. But if you're having a good season and then we have a killer week, and that's my job to do my very best to find the best plays. And that's what the whole show hinges on. Because you don't have the results, then what I'm saying, where's the validity to it? And then if you're not getting good information or good tips, then you're just not going to keep tuning in. So I just put everything into finding the best tips. Then hopefully I can articulate why I like them. It's interactive, so we can discuss whether which elements you agree or disagree, or what else you're seeing, and I love it, and I appreciate your interaction. And I mentioned, that's a couple of ways to support the show. Obviously, getting around the sponsors, because if you understand that without the sponsors, there's no show. So just testing them out, and even if you end up saying to me, "Yeah, I didn't subscribe for this reason, too expensive, or I didn't get enough out of it, or whatever," that's great, valuable feedback for them. But obviously, even the little things like hitting like, commenting, being involved, subscribing. You can do things in the shadows, in complete privacy too. You can always just tell a friend, or anything. There's any way you can support the show. Obviously, there is no show without you guys. So I'm very grateful, and that's why I do feel like that true commitment to do it right if I'm going to do it. And I also feel like the reputation of the pod, like too much hard work has gone in over all the years to sort of let it down. And it's not saying I can guarantee anything. Like 2 years ago, I had a losing season, which was one losing season out of 11. But I was glad that we rebounded. I think a year ago, I pledged to you guys that if I didn't have a winning year last year, I wouldn't do it again. So I put it all on the line. It's pretty much the case every year. So that's my sort of explanation for that. But if you've come this far and you were interested in all that, please, again, let me know if you have any ideas. Give me your feedback. I do appreciate it. And that could include, I don't know, any other suggestions for the business. I felt like if there's any small business owners that just want to do like a single episode, I can do a micro sponsorship like that, and maybe we can shout out some small businesses that that are involved in the show, or that just want to reach a few thousand people as a one-off, because you're a part of the community. Look, plenty more that I want to bring to the table this year, but that's a good starting point. As I said, I think I hit all my dot points. I do sort of feel like I've got baby brain, but I was doing a lot of my preparation before the birth yesterday, and I will be right as rain again Tuesday to join you guys and look at season 2026. It as it always is. It's the best competition in the world, and like I can't wait for. I feel like every single week we have so many good competitive games, but for right now, we want to try and find a bit of value in the futures markets that we can ride, and that's my number one goal. And I hope that plenty of you guys can join me for that. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Lego.